All right, Shalom. I'm going to begin this lesson by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Wahar Rakah Kwadash, which in the ancient Hebrew tongue would be the correct names of the Heavenly Father, His beloved Son, and the Holy Spirit. So would like to give double honors to my teachers, the head apostles and elders, a great millstone. Much due honors and respect to the sincere brethren out there that's also laboring in His work. And as always, want to say shalom to the believers, the Akim as well as the Akwaf, which will be you brothers, along with the sisters that subscribe to this truth as well. So yeah, just wanted to go into another quick lesson, pretty much continuing in the spirit and theme of prophecy, which when considered in the very essence of prophecy, if you will, is all set up an effort to bring disclosure, to certain matters. Pretty much prophecy was set up to shed light on the things hidden, as it is written, to the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, then there's no light in them. See, now you got to remember, when you read the book of Revelation, the 19th chapter and the 10th verse, it tells you how the testimony of our Lord Yahweh Shah is what? The spirit of prophecy. See, so prophecy was set up to shed light, to bring clarity, to bring closure, all right, and ultimately to make manifest the things written and recorded to come to pass here mainly in the latter days. And one of the main things that's being disclosed is the enemies of the biblical Israelites, which would be you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And it doesn't require, any in-depth analysis or extensive research to come to the conclusion that that enemy, that arch enemy and nemesis of the children of Israel would be none other than the so-called white man. All right? You don't have to do any research to come to that conclusion, man. Just consider these different period pieces, 12 Years a Slave, Django, Roots. Well, it's well documented that this man has a perpetual hatred for you, man. And that hatred is being played out by way of oppression. See that? Because you have certain amongst our people who feel as if that's the past. Now we have equality. Now we no longer have to sit in the back of the bus. We can eat in the same restaurants. We have equal opportunity. We can enroll in different institutions and universities. It's a level playing field. All right. And just because you don't physically have chains on you, then you are free. Well, what you want to find out is that oppression has been translated to these different legislations and laws. This system is geared and set up to vex you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. And that contributes to that struggle in the womb, all right? And that's what I wanted to touch on in this lesson. The fact that that hatred that the so-called white man has shown towards the children of Israel, it can't be rehabilitated, man. You can't squash that beef, all right? That hatred is not of this realm. That's a spiritual hatred, all right, which goes back to the struggle in the womb. Now, when you read right here in the book of Genesis, the 25th chapter, in the 22nd verse, it says, and the children struggled together within her, and those children would be Jacob and Esau, all right, Jacob being the forefather of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the children of Israel, versus Esau being the progenitor of the so-called white man. All right, we going into the humble beginnings, if you will, of that friction, the dynamic betwixt these two nations. See? And you can see where it all starts in the womb, meaning these will be natural born enemies here. See again, and the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. Now, to get a better understanding on this struggle, between these two children in the womb, let's click on this word struggle right here. All right. And the definition for this word struggle, it says to crush, oppress. See, to oppress. Now, when you read down, it says to grievously oppress, which one can easily point to the history. All right, when we was brought over here as cargo, we was beaten, we was whipped. Our women was raped and ravished. Our children was fed to alligators, which that's well documented in history, man. You was lynched, all right? You was castrated, you was burned alive, So you can easily equate that with being grievously oppressed. You have one to say, well, you know what? That's not happening anymore. So this doesn't apply to this time. But upon further review, that grievously oppressed translates to now in the form of this man's legislations and laws, which is geared towards vexing, the children of Israel, keeping our people in further derision. And that's outlined right here in the book of Isaiah, the 10th chapter, and starting at the first verse. It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and this will be concerning none other than the so-called white man, all right? Which everything this man has laid out and presented to you in the form of legislation is indeed unrighteous, man, all right? Why? Because it's not in harmony with the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Case in point, when you read the book of Leviticus, the 20th chapter, in the 13th verse, it clearly states that if man live with mankind as he live with a woman, they have both committed an abomination and they should surely be put to death. Well, the so-called white man turns right around and celebrate homosexuality and go as far as protecting homosexuals, see? Which is totally contrary, is adverse to what Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua has laid out, all right? So that's a form of his decrees being unrighteous. One of many. See, again, it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness, see, and that right grievousness, which they have prescribed. So we just looked up the definition for the word struggle, which is outlined in the book of Genesis, the 25th chapter, where you have these two nations who struggled in the womb. That word struggle goes back to oppress and to grievously oppress. Now we reading right here with a so-called white man, he right grievousness. See? And again, that's in the form of his legislations and laws that's geared towards vexing the children of Israel, snaring and entrapping you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You have the 3 strikes law, which affects Jake, all right? Certain drug laws that keep these penitentiaries and these prisons packed with the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You got certain laws in relation to government assistance for our women, right? Welfare, and so on and so forth, where they have to rid out the man. You can't have the man in the household in order for them to receive those benefits. That's all an effort to oppress, keep us further oppressed, all right? Now, when you bring it up to speed, you have, these different laws centered around the Crown 19. You hear this word mandate, mandatory, being thrown around in relation to being vaccinated, all right? And this is all towards the children of Israel. You even have a phrase, vax the blacks, all right? So these grievous laws and decrees, which this devil has prescribed, is geared toward our people, which is ultimately going to lead into the time of Jacob's trouble. Now you might say, well, hold up. What do grievous laws or grievous decrees have to do with the time of Jacob's trouble? Well, let's click on this word grievous. Yeah, and the Hebrew word here would be amal, right? It says toil, trouble, see, trouble, labor, trouble, see, trouble. So when the scriptures say this man write grievous laws, all right, this man have prescribed grievousness, which again goes back to the word struggle, to oppress and to grievously oppress. Well, it all translates to trouble. So everything you see, this swarming activity, these different laws being signed to pass in these different cities, these different districts, concerning this whole Crown 19, well, that's going to be the bridge to the time of Jacob's trouble, which you have a lot of different Israelite groups out there who attempt, which is a feeble attempt, by the way, to refute the idea of Jacob's trouble. They can't see past the luxuries that comes with America. All right. But we have been given ourselves, the Lord have given us the ability to foresee, to anticipate that impending danger that's on the horizon. which is going to come in the form of Jacob's trouble. And again, the bridge to that trouble is going to be in the form of these different laws and legislations, these grievous laws which the so-called white man has prescribed, which again, that word grievous goes into trouble. See that? You see where it all come together? It says trouble, trouble, mischief. See? Mischief is all fueled by the mischievous devil, the so-called white man, which we know that is all an effort to somehow gain, momentum in relation to the birthright. This man is scratching and clawing tooth and nail to retain his rulership. And he understands that the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the biblical Israelites, stand in the way of him crowning his achievement, his achieving goal, all right, which is in the form of his New World Order, a success. See? So the only way he's going to rationalize things out is just to get rid of us all together. And he's setting the stage with this whole phantom, plague, which he's looking to bring forth, the vaccine, all right, as the alternative, right? But it's all conceived by mischief. This man is pitching this idea that he have the best interest of the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American in his sights. He want to have you vaccinated because he cares so much about you. When in reality, this man is looking to overthrow you. Matter of fact, let's go there before we go back to the book of Isaiah, the 10th chapter. This is the book of Psalms, the 28th chapter. In the 3rd verse, it says, draw me not away with the wicked. And again, the wicked would be none other than the so-called white man. And that's outlined in the book of Malachi, the 1st chapter, all right? Draw me not away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors. See, they speak peace unto you. They have you think that it's in their best interest to see the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American vaccinated. See, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief, see, but mischief is in their hearts. And that word mischief is also in association, should I say, with the word grievous. See that? So when you go back here again to the book of Isaiah, the 10th chapter, and again, starting at the 1st verse, it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness, see, and that right grievousness, which we just looked up that word grievousness, the Hebrew word there is amal, and the words that would be mischief and trouble. See? So the time of Jacob's trouble is going to be by way of these grievous, decrees which this man has prescribed. See that? Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. See? So when you go back to the humble beginnings, if you will, Genesis, the 25th chapter, that struggle in the womb, all right? That word struggle goes into oppress or to grievously oppress. So that oppression is not done away with just because you don't physically have chains on, man. You're not physically being hunted down and hung and castrated, all right, and burned. No, it only translates into these legislations and laws which the so-called white man has laid out in effort to wage war against the children of Israel. That's that struggle being continued. See, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that right grievousness, all right, or trouble, which they have prescribed. See, verse 2, to turn aside the needy from judgment. Who is the needy? The children of Israel. See, to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right, from the poor of my people, that widows might be their prey. See, that widows might be their prey. So the hunt is on, man. All right. This man has waged war on you in the form of these legislations, man. See? To turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows might be their prey, see? And that they may rob the fatherless. See that? So the war is on. Okay? Again, our people, they have been lured to sleep. They believe just because the so-called white man isn't, outright coming after them, you go into a certain time period here in American history, you'll be drugged out into the center of the town square and they'll publicly hang you, all right? Or you was being whipped, or you had to physically labor. You was forced to labor for little or nothing. All right, submitting slavery. Well, guess what? Just because that's not physically on display, you know, in the colorful illustration that has been presented to you, you know, you watch certain movies, or you might, do some research, take a glimpse into history. Well, guess what? The bridge to that trouble, returning in the form of Jacob's trouble is by way of these grievous laws, these grievous decrees, these unrighteous decrees, these laws, these draconian laws, which is going to be made mandate, man. And again, it's all geared towards who? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And that's the so-called white man, and that spirit of hatred that's been lying dormant in him once more being roused up. And guess who's instigating, man? It would be none other than who? Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Matter of fact, let's go there. And this is the book of Psalms, the 17th chapter, and it started at the 8th verse. It says, keep me as the apple of thy eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings from the wicked. See, from the wicked, which is the so-called white man, from the wicked that oppress me. See, that oppress me. And again, we read in the book of Genesis, the 25th chapter and the 22nd verse, which will be considered the humble beginnings, if you will, all right, in relation to this friction between Jacob and Esau. Well, when you go into that word struggle, as the children struggle in the womb, that word struggle translates to oppress, all right, and to grievously oppress. See that? So that oppression is not reserved, for the time where you had the vivid illustration of chains being around your neck, the illustration of coming over here physically as cargo in ships. Well, that oppression spills over to today in the form of these different legislations and laws. You are being oppressed by this man, in the form of this system, all right, that you are being governed by. And again, it's only going to climax into the time of Jacob's trouble. That's where these legislations and laws is going to reach its apex and its climax. See? Again, it says, from the wicked that oppress me, see? From my deadly enemies, from my deadly enemies. All right? Which, again, this drama can't be squashed. We're dealing with natural born enemies here. See? From the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. They are enclosed in their own fat. With their mouth, see, with their mouth, they speak proudly, which again goes into what? The unrighteous decrees and grievous laws which they have prescribed, man. See that? Verse 11, they have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth. Right, meaning this man, he sits on high. Right now he's on the throne. He's ruling. He's governing over the planet Earth. And now he has set his sights on the prey, which is the children of Israel. Okay? And that's a characteristic of the eagle. This man from on high, he pretty much spy out his enemy, his prey. And that's why this man is compared to an eagle. This man have satellites in the heavens, and he can, monitor whomever he sets his sights on. See, again, they have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth. See, like as a lion that is greedy of his prey. See, like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in secret places. Yes, so behind the scenes, behind the shroud and cloud of deception in these secret meetings, you had the Bilderberg meetings and such, where this man sit around in these secret councils, and he strategized ways of waging war against the children of Israel. And again, this whole Crown 19 fiasco, all right, and the talks of mandating this Maxine is all an effort to wage war against you Israelites. See? Verse 13, it says, arise, O Lord, disappoint him, see, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. See that? So pretty much Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is preparing to spring into action once more concerning the judgment of the 2/3 of the nation of Israel. And the Lord is going to, once more swing that proverbial sword in the form of Esau against you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And that would be considered the time of Jacob's trouble. See that? Which the stage is now being set in the form of these different legislations, laws, unrighteous decrees, grievousness, which have been prescribed by way of the so-called white man, which is ultimately going to be made mandate, all in effort to bring forth the time of Jacob's trouble, which upon further review is nothing more than a continuation of the struggle in the womb. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. Lord willing, it was edifying. Till the next time I say shalom.